Assalamu alaikum 9th class. This is your chemistry lesson. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. If you have followed the last lecture and you have understand the concepts, then you should know that today we'll discuss about the nature of bonding and properties given on page number 68. The nature of bond or the nature of compound depend on the bonding formed between the different types of elements or the different types of atoms. On the basis of bonding present between the compounds, two types of compounds, there are two major types of compounds that include ionic compound and covalent compound that may be polar or non-polar in nature. Ionic compounds are always polar in nature because they are made up of charged molecules or called ions. They are always made up of ions. Ions have the charges, so they are polar molecules, polar compounds. One example that is discussed is NaCl. NaCl, N positive charge and chlorine negative charge. It is made up of two type of ions, one cation and one anion, and it is always present in crystal form, crystal lattice form. The crystal made up of units of similar structures. You can see the crystal of NaCl from here. There are brown color or yellow color sodium ions and surrounded by the green color chloride ions. You can see the chloride ions are larger in size. Sodium, being metal and positively charged, is smaller in size because it has donated its valence shell and electron to the chlorine. So this is the arrangement. This make a specific shape, solid crystal. Now let's discuss about covalent compounds. Covalent bond is present in which different atoms share their valence electrons. Examples include methane, CH4, water, H2O, H2SO4, C6H12O6, sugar, glucose. It is the formula of glucose. So always covalent bond are present between these atoms, and these atoms share the electrons, and these are all known metals. Now let's discuss or compare the properties of ionic and covalent compounds. Ionic compounds have different properties. They are always or mostly found in crystalline solids. Ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points. Ionic compounds are good conductors in solution and in molten state. And ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points. Ionic compounds have different solubility. They are soluble in polar solvents because like dissolves like. Ionic compounds are mostly dissolved in water. There is a strong force of attraction between the charges in ionic compounds, so they are forming the form of solids. Covalent compound as compared to ionic compound have low melting and boiling points. They are the poor conductors of electricity because they don't have any charge. They compounds having polar character in their bonding are conductors of electricity. Somehow covalent compound that have polar nature are conductors of electricity, but not good like that of ionic compounds. They are soluble in covalent compound. Covalent compounds soluble in covalent compounds. They are insoluble in water because water is polar in nature, because like dissolve like. Large molecules with three-dimensional bonding form from covalent crystals. So covalent crystals may be found in case of covalent compounds if there is a possibility that molecules have large size. Then they will have high melting and boiling points. Then polar and non-polar nature is discussed. Ionic compounds are always found in polar form. Covalent compounds are found as non-polar compounds, but sometimes covalent compounds may develop polarity. As you can see that on Pauling scale, fluorine has highest electron activity, that is 4. The values of other elements are calculated from this. Properties of non-polar and polar covalent compounds differ to some extent, as we have discussed that the polar covalent compound may have high boiling and melting point and may conduct electricity, and sometimes they may dissolve in water. Similarly, non-polar compounds do not conduct electricity, but an aqueous solution of polar compound usually conduct electricity. So this topic defines that if covalent compound develop polarity, they may develop the properties near to ionic compounds, but not like that of ionic. So I hope you have understand the topics, and you must read it, you must learn it. Thank you.